ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here with a Sunday edition of Oilers Live. It's been a couple weeks since we've gone on the air. Lots of things happening. Lots happening in oil country. Of course, the Oilers playoffs are starting tomorrow night, so we figured we better get on here quickly and do a playoff preview before we miss the opportunity. I've got as my guest tonight Mr. Dash in the Park on Twitter. Welcome, Dash. Been a while. Good to see you.
It's been a minute, buddy. It's been a minute. Good to see you too.
Yeah, it's been, it seems like forever since, you know what? I haven't missed 2 episodes in ages. And so, you know what? It's good to be back for a bit.
It's a lot of weeks I talked to you more than I talked to my wife, so I miss you.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm a good guy. I'm fun to talk to once in a while. Welcome, everybody. Of course, we're on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, you name it, we're there. Just let you know, if you are on Twitter and you want to be part of the chat, we don't get the Twitter chat notifications. So if you can, why don't you just join us on Facebook? Go to youtube.ca/heavyhockey. And you'll find us there on Facebook. Watch us live there, and you can tune in on the chat. We maybe
if you haven't hit subscribe while you're there, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, we could bore people with what we've been doing for the last 2 weeks, but let's not do that. Let's talk a little bit of hockey tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm on a show with a good guy because it's not like you're known to want to talk a lot on your own show, but I've been losing my voice a little bit throughout the day because of what I did last night. You'll see I'm rocking a new hat here. My boy Brian Tremblay, he was on the show. You remember we did the Colorado show the one time.
Yeah, you bet.
He's got a band, and we went out and watched him and another friend of mine, Derek, kind of our hockey group, to watch some rock and roll last night. So yeah, I've got a lack of a voice. You'll have to carry me for the first time ever.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what we can do. We got Jeff. Hello from Brandon, Manitoba. Go nice. Oilers all the way, baby. Feeling like
Derek from the Unbuttoned Shirts is from Manitoba, by the way.
That's right. I feel like it's been a while. I mean, every year you go through this, but it's just a different feel this year. What do you say? What's it like in the hometown right now? What's it like in oil country?
It's buzzing. Yeah, it's a different feeling. I think there's a lot more promise and a lot less doubt. There's been a lot of problems and potential issues that have been solved, right? Like, what were all of our biggest risks going into this year? Well, at some point in time, we've got to shore up the defense and make sure we get some consistent goaltending and get some depth scoring and right, buddy? Like, check. We're as set as we ever could be.
Yeah. I mean, this is a team that I don't remember finishing the season like this in a very long time. We've got our friend Angel coming in from LA. Go Kings, go already. Awesome. In the chat. That's all right. You're welcome here. We know. We'll welcome you here, and then you
it's friendly fire.
Yeah,
so far.
Yeah, so far. Might get ugly later, Angel, as we get going. Well, already, there's lots going on Twitter, of course. Lots of people chirping both ways. This could be the new rivalry, right? LA and Edmonton. I mean, this is, to go 7 games last year and have it finish the way it does. I mean, it and it carried on through to the end of the season, right? I mean, there wasn't a lot of love loss when McDavid hit Anderson there, right?
I'd say there was revenge on the brain for that one for sure.
Yeah, it makes makes for a great series. It's going to be a ton of fun. But the biggest difference is, and the Kings are going to figure this out pretty quick, is this is a healthy team this year.
This is a healthy team. This is a tougher team than LA's ever come up against with an Oilers drop on the front of their jersey, buddy. This is, you know what? Like, I'm going to boldly say this. I'm not sure the Kings want to play that style with you others. Honestly, I think if you want to go 7 games and play rough and tough I don't want that to happen because we need longevity through the playoffs, but I'm not scared of that.
Well, it's considerably a bigger team. I mean, you got Bjugstad, you got Desharnais, you've got Costin, you've got Ekholm. I mean,
Don't miss the most important one of all, man. Who's the scrum stopper? Kane. Yeah. What did he do to Tkachuk last year? In our private chat, what did I say he did to Doughty in that game versus the Kings?
Yeah.
Doughty turned around to do what Doughty does and start chirping, and you could see it on his face. And as soon as he turned around and saw it was Kane, it was like, oh, let me just go skate to the corner and watch the play up on the big screen. You know, he stopped Tkachuk in his tracks in that Flames series with one comment. Tkachuk gave him the money fingers, and Kane said whatever he said back, and Tkachuk didn't get another point for the rest of the fucking series. Right? Kane got 7 goals in 7 games. Kane led the playoffs in scoring in 15 games played last season, man.
Well, and you'll recall, I mean, it was one of the last episodes we did before we took a little bit of a break, but you know, it was probably one of his worst games, and ever since he's turned it up. Like, he's been firing the puck. He's involved.
This is Kane's season right now, man.
Yeah. He's doing well.
Plus Desharnais, I can't wait to see what Desharnais does. He might be as cheap as Gator with his stick. Maybe. I don't know if anybody could be, but he gives Jason Smith a run for the amount of cross checks he throws per minute, per 60. It's not fun to be in front of that Oilers net anymore, man.
Yeah. No, that's 100%, right? I mean, the defense is considerably different, right? I think. I mean, well, you know, is it? I mean, it is. I mean, it is different. Ekholm makes a big difference. I mean, we haven't had a player like Ekholm on the back end for a long time. He takes minutes away from Nurse, which hasn't been done for a very long time, and we're getting offense out of him, which is, you know, unexpected, right? Like, you know, and he's just so solid. And then there's the Bouchard piece. Right, giving Bouchard a little bit of coverage and maybe mentoring him to be a better defensive player all around. And I think a guy like Ekholm, he just plays smart, right? Like, he knows Bouchard's maybe not the best defenseman out there, so he plays a little bit different, right?
He sure lets him play offense though. Right? Bouchard's had 19 points in 21 games or something like that since Ekholm showed up.
Are we missing Barry? We missing Tyson?
Hey, how worried was everybody? What's going to happen to the power play if we lose Tyson Barry?
What actually happened
we're on that bandwagon for wanting Bouchard on the power play earlier than he ever was.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to be right because he made the best power play in the history of the universe even better.
And he added a shot. Right, like that wrister. It's not even the Bouch bomb that's been killing teams. It's that wrister. He's got
awkward angles,
accuracy, right?
For sure.
Yeah, a little fake to McDavid. I mean, these guys have it rolling. Obviously,
it's going to be an interesting series. I think it's going to be a war. I give LA all respect. I don't think it's anybody to take lightly.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're looking at this Kings lineup. Right. I mean, who are you most worried about? Are you most worried about the defense? Are you most worried about guys like Kopitar or Fiala? What's your what do you think? What are you thinking right now?
Like I think they're all something to worry about. It's not like Kopitar's past his prime, but I do think the torch has been passed to Danault. There's some balanced scoring in that lineup. I think there's 5 guys that can score in you any time, and if they've got health or Fiala playing on that third line, we're both going to have to roll 4 lines, I think, in order to probably have the type of matchups that we need. And I don't know, the defense, I don't think Doughty's in his prime anymore. I remember Doughty that used to control the Olympics, and after 40 minutes, me thinking, how the hell has Drew Doughty been our best player when this is the fucking Olympics? And he just was.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
you know, there's
Doughty's a hell of
guys
a defenseman.
with that kind of pedigree.
Yeah.
You can't count them out, man.
Yeah, and they added a little bit of size with Gavrikov, of course, back there. I mean, they've got a good decor. Right.
Korpisalo's had the
Yeah.
Oilers number historically, although, you know, maybe we dispelled that in the recent games. But I don't know. I don't think the Oilers fear anybody, with all due respect to Kings fans and Angel and whoever else wants to listen.
Yeah, I mean, this is a different lineup, right, than we've had. I mean, we noticed it down the stretch, right? Like, it's not just one guy anymore. It's not just McDavid. Not that I think it ever was. I mean, I think that's, you know, a cop out on you know, why you lost to the Oilers, but it's certainly a little bit. There's, well, not even a little bit more depth. There's a lot more depth, and you add Ryan McLeod back into the lineup, and I've been, you know, as you know, I've always been a big fan of McLeod. And you got him playing fourth line, right? I mean, that's the guy. That's the guy you want playing fourth line, right? And Derek Ryan's been an absolute beast at the second half of the season for a guy that, you know, there was a point in the year where I thought maybe he was done, right? There were a couple times where he just looked like, but no, he just, of course, he's the Oilers nominee for the Billy Masterson.
Right. Yeah, you know, the acquisition of Bugstad really allowed us to put McLeod in a place where he can thrive as well, right? And as well as Bugstad got this unfound chemistry very quickly with Costin and Janmark. Yeah. So now all of a sudden you put that fourth line of Bugstad, Janmark, and Costin together, and cheapers, man, like that might be one of the best fourth lines in hockey.
And Janmark's flying now. Right, like you watch it.
You know, it's unfair that we have to keep relying on Janmark to score these 2-goal games for us just to be able to stay in the hunt. It's just been unfair. It's unfair to Mateus.
It is. No, it's been fun to watch. Right. I mean, it's been. You know, of course, anytime your team is going to go 9 wins to finish the season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's. You know, it's fun to watch. There's. You know, I mean, it's still the playoffs. Anything can happen, but you know, every player that you've ever heard quoted say, you know, you want to go in hot into the playoffs, and there's no hotter team than the Oilers right now, 9-0-1 in their last 10, finishing it right through to the last game. Everybody making their milestones.
The last 10, I think they were undefeated in their last 15 or 16 or something.
Undefeated in regulation, yeah.
Best team in the NHL since March 12th.
January 11th, best team in the NHL.
In the NHL?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I think it's something like 756.
I saw a tweet from Stauffer on, he did it was since the game, and you'll remember this clearly as well, Michael, because you and I went to watch that Buffalo game together. I carried on, of course, as you know, and went to Boston and carried that road streak. Since then, we came back on the way through, and I had to watch with disdain. I had to watch the Oilers lose against the Leafs while they gave up a touchdown in the Toronto Pearson Airport, listening to obnoxious Leafs fans surrounding me. Since that loss, Stauffer posted, since March 12th, record in the NHL, 12-0-1. So that would have been on the 9th. So 2 games since then. So 13-1-1. First in points percentage, first in goals for, third in goals against, first in power play percentage, second in penalty kill percentage, first in the NHL in penalty kill, goals from the penalty kill. Draisaitl first in scoring. McDavid was third in scoring in the league, and Nuge was fourth in the league. Although I've looked that up since, and I think they're like first, fourth, and seventh or something since March 12th. But then I went back even further, since you said, to the beginning of the calendar year, and Nuge, Dry, and McDavid are all in the top 7 in scoring.
Yeah,
since January 1st.
It is. It's unbelievable, right?
Bring it on.
Yeah,
LA's got to stay out of the box.
Yeah. I mean, that's and that's it, right? I mean, the of course, playoffs are a whole different ball game. I mean, they do have to stay out of the box, and you the officiating is going to have a big part to play in these playoffs for the Oilers. With the power play like that, there were times this in the second half of the season where I thought it was starting to look like the officials were putting the whistle away when it came to the Oilers, and then they picked it up near the back half, and so we'll see. I mean, game one, usually gives us a bit of an indication of how they're going to call the series. Pretty exciting. I mean, tomorrow night, what do you think, as we're talking about this? Game one, well, all the games, 8:30 Mountain Time, right? Like that, or what is it, 8:20?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the
Same
deal?
It's always been.
No, it's not 8:30.
Yes, it is.
No, it wasn't.
Well, it's 8:08 or whatever. If it's going to be an 8 start,
it's gonna be 8:20.
But now they throw a video in there and a montage, and God, they'll probably put Mike Durst's hype video in there at the beginning of games, and that's gonna, push us back to about 8:20. But it's always been the 8:00 start out west, man. Always. It's good. Get the kids to bed and can watch live. I don't have to worry about recording anything, having to catch up. I like it.
Yeah, but this is you're talking the one of the best teams in hockey since the beginning of the year, if not the best team. I did just see a tweet from Jack Eichel since January 11th. And half the country's asleep by the time they start.
It's the playoffs. Everybody's important. They're back-to-back to games. Stop being a homer.
No, it's not a homer thing at all. I mean, it is it's a marketing thing. I can't believe the NHL would do this. It's going to be 8:20 local time before Mountain Time, 11:20 in Atlantic Canada.
And if you lived in Toronto where the traffic is 90 minutes each way, you're cool with a 5:30 or 6 o'clock start time, just so that the rest of the country can see.
They're overlapping as it is.
You got to be able to get to the games wherever you live, too.
They're overlapping as it is. So you start the Toronto games at the same time.
That's like the games starting at 5:30 or 6 here. Like there's going to be 30,000 people downtown. You start the game
at 7 like you normally do.
I'm good with it. You asked me my opinion. You're being a homer, and I'm good with it.
I think a lot of people
my opinion. Don't have me on the show 42 times, right?
Well, I just think you're wrong.
You're allowed to.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much. I mean, that's why I have you on the show, because I like to be right.
That's why I did a show with Ursula for so long.
Yeah, it's too late. All right. Moving on. So we got Monday night, Wednesday. Oilers shift to LA on the Friday and the Sunday. How big's the first game in the series? Oilers come out. If they come out slow, Korpisalo maybe.
How big is it? It's big because it's a playoff game and it's one of your 16 wins you need to hoist the chalice, but it's not do or die by any stretch, that's for sure. I mean, you got to get out of Edmonton with at least a split. If you get out of Edmonton 2-0, then even better. But nobody panics if you lose game one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
unless when we lost game one to the Flames, they put up a touchdown on us in game one. And
yeah.
Never looked back.
Yeah, I was never worried about that one. I don't know. I didn't have a sense of worry in that Flames series.
No, not with that team.
I mean, anytime you go to a game 7, you're going to be worried about.
Sure.
We got Kirk
it's a bad bounce.
Kirk says Homer. Kirk's calling me a Homer.
Yeah, goddamn right.
Called me a Homer. For those of you that don't know, some jackass on YouTube one time got on here. I think it was playoffs last year. And Angel, we love you. Thanks for showing up to the podcast. Angel's a LA Kings fan, and he's here. Sometimes he's chirping, sometimes he's not, but he's still a good guy. But some guy came in last year and started calling me a Homer. It's kind of stuck. And
it's a T-shirt if we ever get there.
Yeah, if we ever get there, we'll do that.
Michael's
all right. So look, we got lots of things happening. Skinner obviously playing out of his mind, like in the last part here, right? Like this is a team. The one of the things that I really love about the back stretch there. Early January, I remember getting chirped from some friends. Like the Oilers aren't going to score their way through the playoffs, right? And there were a couple times where, lots of times actually, we're winning 6-4 games. And I think in this, like the last 15, 16 games, the Oilers, especially in that Boston game, they came from behind to win. You were at that. I mean, you got a team now that has won every way in the league. Not only do you got a guy that scored every which way that he can score, but you've got a team now that has won every way. Back-to-back shutouts, 1-goal games, 2-goal games, low scoring, high scoring.
From behind in the first, from behind in the third.
Absolutely. I mean,
tough games.
It's hard not to get
shootouts.
Excited, right? It's hard not to get excited. I mean, this is everything you're reading. In fact, I would say that people started to notice the Oilers just when they got into Boston. That's when I noticed a change with the Eastern media. That's when
Kevin Bieksa told me at the airport in Toronto, based on the way they've played this week, they are my pick to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So that's your time right there, right? When I was coming
scares
back.
me when analysts start picking the Oilers for stuff. Angel says, Kings will be your biggest test. I definitely love the confidence. I like that you're already looking past us. I don't, you know what? I don't think
we have to look past you. We have to.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Oilers are going to win this series. And I think most of us do, most of us in oil country. And I'd say there's very few folks that have money down on the Kings. But I think the Oilers understand, especially they've got the benefit of a little bit more experience from last year. Plus, they have the benefit of having been brought to 7 games last year, and that's hard to forget, right? So I would be surprised if this team comes in thinking this is going to be a cakewalk. Even the last game wasn't a cakewalk. I mean, it was 2-0. It's not like the Oilers went out and scored their regular 4, 5, 6 goals, right? They played tight defensively that game and came out with a 2-0 win. Angel says he's got a buddy who put 300 on Kings to win the Cup. That'd be a hell of a bet. Some stranger says I'm excited about this
on the Oilers. Yeah.
I mean, this is that's another thing that I mean, you look up and down this lineup. I mean, you got Kane back fully. You got Yamo, although there was a bit of a scare yesterday or today in practice. Took a puck to the head. I guess he came back. Costin's good. Fogel's in. McLeod's good. McDavid, Draisaitl, I think, is the biggest one. I think in the second half of the season, that's when Draisaitl actually became healthy. I felt like he played the first half of the season injured.
He did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. High ankle sprains aren't easy to heal, man.
Yeah. And he finally, there was a game in which he came out there and he started doing his one-timer again with a little bit of oomph.
Yeah. You and I both saw earlier in the year when he took his glove off, he had that tape on his wrist still one time on that one play. Yep.
Jeff's chirping Anderson already. How do you think that one plays out? I mean, you think anything happens?
Mikey early? Coming back, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a top pair defenseman. I think he's going to get a full dose of Kane and Hyman and Draisaitl and Fogel and just keep eating hits in the corner and until he can't anymore. I mean, it's an easy way to play a top pairing B. I think him and Doughty both. We just have to keep pounding him.
Yeah, and this team, you know what? They've been together for 2 years, right? They've had Woodcroft and team behind them for a year and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the same team anymore, right?
Second best team in the NHL since
Yeah.
Woodcroft took over.
Yeah.
It's a season and a half.
Is Fiala going to play in the playoffs? He's expected back. He was day to day.
I think he'll play.
Yeah, he'll play. All right. What else we got here? What are you thinking?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just, at the sake of not repeating ourselves, I just think, it feels different, man. And there's some things that have happened this year. We're breaking team records. We're not just breaking individual records anymore, right? Like, there's just things that are happening, seem to be happening at the right time. All the things you want to happen to your team have happened. We've hit some adversity. Right? Like, if I don't know, maybe this is stupid, but if I'm Boston, a fan of Boston, a diehard, I might be a little worried. Like, it came so easy to them this year. I know you have to be dominant to have the best season in the history of the NHL, but like, I'm a little bit scared that President's Cup trophy curse comes and hits them, and they just didn't have to see adversity all year, and now all of a sudden it hits them in the head, and they didn't know how to overcome it. And I think the Oilers have been there. We've overcome some injuries. We've had to play 12-6. We've had to play 11-7. We didn't have the big injuries, but that's a good thing, right? Like, we're going in healthy. We're going in on a hot streak. We're going in, like, all the things. We're checking all the boxes. It feels right. The West is as easy as it's ever been. It's not as easy as it's ever been. That's a very poor way to put that. There's as much parity in the West as there's ever been.
Yeah,
I think we're in a powerhouse division. The points prove it. But I'm not scared of the Kings. I'm not scared of the Knights. I'm not scared of the new Avs. Without Landeskog and without Kadri and without, like, you know what I mean? Like, bring it. I'm not saying any of them are going to be easy, but I'm not scared. And ultimately, right, like, I just think these playoffs are going to be fascinating. You're looking over to the East and the Battle of New York, and New Jersey's been one of the hottest teams in the year. And you laughed at me in the pregame show when I told you Jack Hughes would get at least 30 more points. And last time I checked, I think he almost doubled his point total. He got like 43 more points this year than he did the year before. But you can't count the Rangers out, and Lightning Toronto rematch. How many of us are cheering for the Lightning more than we ever have? So I just think it's gonna be fun, man. That's the eve of one of the most exciting days of the year.
All right, let's look at the playoffs in a whole. I mean, you started talking about some of these teams. We'll start in the East, and we'll make our way back down to the West and the Oilers in LA.
Sure. You want to do some predictions, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, we're going to do some predictions. Let's mark them down here. Let's get these down.
All right. Kirk, get out your Sharpie.
Yeah, get out the Sharpie, Kirk, because we got this. We're going to have a look here. And we're going to see. I mean, Dash likes to remember the things I laughed at him for that he's right on. But I also laughed at him when he said Calgary was going to be number one in the in the Pacific.
That's the one I got wrong for sure.
He was close.
So Markstrom for the Vezina. That might have been a poor pick.
Yeah, there were a few by everyone that day. Let's see how the playoffs go. Let me write these down because we're going to come back to them after every round. We'll come back and do another round preview. But the first round, also, if you're listening in and you're on Twitter and you're doing the NHL bracket challenge, make sure you join the Oilers Twitter league. And that one's being run by Glenn Ma. Most of the usual suspects on Twitter will be on there. When the link finally works on the NHL.com site, I'll put mine together. And you know what? It's always a little bit of fun and see some names you already know. Some good folks in there. All right, let's start with Boston and Florida. Of course, Boston's coming off record-breaking season. Florida, they're really fighting it right till the very end. Made it in, but they've got your favorite, Tkachuk.
Oh, yeah.
And, Tkachuk's, he's had a hell of a season. Love him or hate him, he's had a hell of a season. He's kind of, he's proven that it's not just a Sutter coach team that he can do well on. He's, he's been a good player for Florida this year, but hey, they're up against a tough matchup in Boston. Thoughts on this one, Boston, Florida, and how many games?
Boston in 6.
I am going to say Boston in 4. I think that one's going to be a sweep. All right. And, I think Boston will have, if they have any challenges, it's going to be because of the fact that they're going to be coming out of a Boston-Florida series where I don't think it's going to be even close. And I actually think the challenge will be for them. They're going to have some time off before they play, either
still no adversity,
Toronto or Tampa Bay, right? And that's when things start to go. Some stranger says Boston in 5. All right, Toronto and Tampa Bay. This is a big one this year, right? I mean, Tampa Bay kind of come limping into the playoffs this year. Vasilevsky's looked human, you can say. Toronto's done really well. They've got O'Reilly playing the second line in between Nylander and Tavares. It's a different Toronto team. Obviously, Matthews is not scoring at the same pace, though he did get 40 goals this year. I don't know if you saw that milestone.
It's incredible. It just almost never happens.
I know. So there you have it. Who are you taking? Toronto?
You want to give him some credits? I think he did lead forwards in the NHL in blocked shots.
Did he? Matthews did. I did not know that. I mean, you know what?
He's a great 5-on-5 player.
He's a hell of a fucking player.
And power play points don't count. So, yeah. I mean, really, that makes Matthews almost the best.
He's a hell of a player. But anyway.
It's easy to get 88 assists on the power play.
That's right. Simple. All right. Toronto, Tampa Bay. Okay, I'll start on this one.
Okay.
I am going to take. I'd like to think that Toronto at some point will get over this first round.
Well, you're always wrong, so you should pick them.
But I'm going to take Tampa Bay. I'm going to take Tampa Bay in 6. I don't think it's even going 7 this year. Where are you going?
Lightning in 7.
Bay in 7. All right, Angels got Tampa over Toronto in 6 as well. Angel, you're a good man. All right, next up, we've got the Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I believe Svechnikov's still out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're up. Canes or Islanders?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Islanders on this one. To be honest, the Canes have never really been built for the playoffs, and let's go Islanders in 5.
Islanders in 5. You're really saying there's nothing there in Cane country. All right,
I'm going to count out Lou in the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what? I'm taking the Islanders too, but I think they'll go 7. All right, last one in the East, we've got the Rangers and the Devils, which I think is going to be a hell of a series.
Yeah,
and this is a tough one. But I feel like the Devils have just been so solid all year. Your favorite guy there, Hughes, all the points he put up, they look too good. Pretty solid up and down the lineup. Like, I think if anybody, that's a team that, out of the East could surprise everybody and make it to the finals in my mind. The Devils.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Devils in 6.
I'm in a bit of a controversy here because at the beginning of the year, I don't know if I need to stick with my predictions, but I predicted a Oilers-Rangers final. I'd like to think that when you've got the firepower up front that the Rangers have, and I'd like to think that when you've got Shesterkin, who's arguably the second best goalie on the universe in the way Vasilevsky's been playing, maybe the best goalie. You got 2 or 3 of the best defensemen in the league. You got Trouba, who is absolutely devastating in the playoffs. It's tough, but I do feel that top 6 in New York is going to have a tough time back checking. There's not a lot of defense when you talk about Panarin and Tarasenko and Kreider, and I'm torn. I really am. I'm going to say Rangers in 7.
Rangers in 7.
I am torn though.
All right. Well, that's the first one we've gone different ways on. But I like you sticking to your guns there. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the tools to do it. I just hopefully, whether I don't know. You know, we just talked whether momentum carries into the playoffs or not. And for our team, we'd like to think it does. So.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I always think. I mean, you get a few games off for the Oilers. You know, there's a lot of momentum. They had an easier schedule down the stretch, but they still got it done.
Yeah.
I mean, what always sticks with me is every player that talks about needing momentum down the stretch. You know, it's not like some analyst that's never played the game in their life, right?
Yeah.
Says, "Oh, momentum's important." The players say it's important. That just sticks with me. Yep. All right, let's move to the West. We'll finish off with the Oilers and the Kings, but we'll start with the Golden Knights and the Jets. Obviously, Golden Knights, best record in the Western Conference. Oilers had a shot at it, didn't quite get it. I'd say they had reasonably, good last 10, 6-1-3. They looked good down the back stretch. It's a solid team. Biggest challenge for me is goaltending, obviously, and I think that's everybody would say the same. And then in Winnipeg, you've got Hellebuck, who can win a series. And I'm not convinced Eichel's the guy. Right? Like I'm not convinced they got.
Stone's pretty good.
Stone is a difference maker on that team. When he's out of the lineup, they're like, they're a completely different team. But I don't think they got what they wanted out of Eichel. But you're 100% right about Stone. I'm going to go Jets in 7. And I'm going to say it just on the strength of Hellebuck.
I'm not going to call you crazy. I'm not. Goaltending is so important in the playoffs. And when you've got that type of difference in goaltending, like I'm not convinced the Vegas Knights goaltending will carry them to the Stanley Cup final by any stretch. But I do think that they've got enough protection around their goaltending with Theodore and some of those players to get them through a round. You might be right if Hellebuck plays absolute on his head Hellebuck. You might be right. Because if Vegas can't get it going offensively, then that levels the playing field. And then that's 7 games. That said, I don't think the Jets have enough consistency scoring-wise. I don't know when you've got your 2 best players at odds and they don't like each other and half the team doesn't like Scheifele and the other half doesn't like it's not a good look.
The Jets turned it around though in their last, 6 or 7 games,
sure.
Right?
Whatever.
And they're coming in, feeling it, right? Like they actually had to work to get into the playoffs. Yeah. Right? And
Knights in 5.
That counts for something. Knights in 5. Wow. Is Stone 100%?
He's got a non-contact jersey on. That's as much as they're saying.
That's what I mean. I mean, I just don't know if he's 100%. I assume he is. They were trying to get him ready for game 1, but I haven't heard 100% if he's going to be in the lineup or not.
Yep.
He is a difference maker for that team. There is no doubt at all. All right. We've
Christina.
got Avalanche and Kraken. In my mind, probably the easiest series to call. I'm going to give
really
the Kraken
think the
one
Kraken
game.
are that good?
Yeah. I'll give, and this is being kind, off of pure adrenaline. First time in the playoffs. They'll win game 3 or game 4, and be Avs in 5.
Avs in 4. I don't think I have to say why.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes to 4, I think not a big surprise to me, but
the type of play that got Seattle into the playoffs isn't going to last them. I mean, they were leading our division at one point in time, and they had a sub 900 goals against average as a team at the time. Like it's not sustainable. They don't have enough scoring. They don't have enough high end scoring. They don't have good enough special teams. They don't have consistent enough goaltending, and it's the goddamn Avalanche.
Yeah. I mean, look, as I said, if anything, it's going to be adrenaline and first time in the playoffs and a wild and raucous crowd in Seattle that gets them a game. All right, this one, next one, Stars and the Wild. In my mind, maybe potentially one of the closest matchups.
Really, eh?
In round 1.
I think it might be Kings Oilers.
Yeah, I disagree. I mean, I like the Kings, but I'm going to say that I think the Stars and Wild are going to be pretty darn close. Your thoughts? Who you got for this one?
There's a lot of people overlooking Dallas.
I'd say there's a lot of
they would have been the team I would have been most scared to face in the first round, I think, to be honest. What they had, like 7 20-goal scorers. Never count Jamie Benn out in the playoffs. Ottinger was the best goalie in the playoffs last year and one of the best goalies in hockey this year. So, I mean, Robertson can snipe. They've got high-end players, good solid D, good systems. So I think they're being overlooked. I think we'll probably see them down the road, not Colorado, to be honest. But that's another episode. So I'll go Stars in 5.
Stars in 5. I'll take the Stars as well. And I don't think anybody's overlooking the Stars. I think maybe they're overlooking Dallas, if anybody, or the Wild rather.
I was like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that
if the Wild come up against anybody but Dallas, I might say that.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's going to come down to though, and this I do think this is maybe the closest series, maybe not the best series, but I think it'll be the closest series. You've got Stars and 6 and 5. You said.
I say Stars in 5.
Yeah.
Unless and here's my caveat. It's the same caveat I gave you with Winnipeg. If Hellebuck stands on his head and they go 7, they could win it. If Fleury stands on his head and it goes 7, Minnesota could win it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Stars in 7, and I think it's just gonna be
it's gonna be a war.
It'll be a war. Goaltending is gonna be outstanding. I mean, Ettinger, he played his heart out last season in the playoffs. A guy like that obviously gets up to the challenge of playoffs. Unbelievable, right?
Yep. We got beat by the Flames. Let's not give them too much credit.
All right, so we both have, yeah, 100%. So we both agree on Boston, Tampa Bay, Islanders. We disagree on the Rangers or the Devils, Knights and the Jets, and then we're both on the Stars. Let's talk about the series that matters. Oilers and the Kings. Starts tomorrow night, 8 p.m., sometime just before midnight in Atlantic, Canada. What are you taking?
I got, here's the thing. I know this shouldn't carry through to the off season, but the Oilers have had a reputation of needing to get slapped in the face before they get pissed off. It happened with the Flames last year. It happens in every single regular season game. How many times have we been scored on first and come back and win in the last 2 seasons? Bet you we probably lead the NHL in that, giving up the first goal and still winning. So the Kings are going to give us a run. I think it's going to be a war. I do. I think they've got truculence on both sides. There may even be injuries that come out of this series. It's going to be the Oilers in 7, but then the Oilers don't look back. That's the war they needed to get through to solidify, gel, and I don't think another series will be more than 5 or 6 games after that.
Only one guy in the chat's taking the Kings.
He's on the right show.
Yeah.
To be outnumbered, I mean.
Yeah. But I appreciate you, Angel, for stepping in and taking the chirps and being here. I think this is the year for the Oilers. They've taken a couple steps the way they need to. It just, the offensive firepower isn't there for the Kings, right? Like,
they have the depth, though.
They've got the depth.
They don't have the 50-goal scorers, but they got a shitload and clutch guys, man. Kopitar's clutch. Daniel is clutch. Doughty is clutch. Like, those guys know how to score when it matters. Not to mention, it hasn't been brought up yet, but Todd McClellan knows our weaknesses.
Yeah, this is a different team.
Different. I know. There. It's a different Kings
and
team
it's not
too,
even.
Man.
This is a. We've witnessed a different Connor McDavid this year than we've ever seen. A guy that he just, he seems determined to take the next step. I'm going to take. I'm hesitant because I don't think LA is going to be an easy out. But I'm going to take the Oilers in 5.
Oof.
And
I hope you're right.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the Oilers are coming off of a high. They, I think defensively they can finally, they can play the game defensively, and look.
Buddy, let's give the Kings some credit, though. Like,
I'm not taking that away from the Kings.
On March 9th, that the Oilers would win the division. All they've done since March 9th is go 15-1-2, and they still couldn't do it.
Yeah, but here, look at it this way, right? Like, Oilers in 5 isn't so much about not giving the Kings credit. It's about saying this is a different Oilers team. That's what it's about.
Sure. I don't think it's that big of a swing.
That's the way I look at it. I don't think that's, you could have, let's look at that, play-in round against the Jets. Right? 3 games was the equivalent of 7 games? Right?
5 or 5.5 or something like that with all the overtimes. Yeah.
And it was not like the Oilers weren't an easy out.
The play-in round was when we lost to Chicago.
Or not Chicago, sorry. The year after, sorry. Yeah.
I knew what you meant, but I'll just clarify. Yeah. Of course I do.
But the Oilers weren't an easy out. Right?
That's right. Not even a little. No.
And I don't think the Kings are going to be an easy out.
So you're calling the Kings of this year the Oilers versus the Jets?
No, I'm just saying I think that the Kings are going to make it difficult. And the Oilers are going to win some tough games, but they're going to win them because I think that this is the kind of team that we have this year. It's not an Angel. I know he's saying that's a bad take. You are a homer, and I appreciate you calling me a homer, Angel. I think the Kings have a hell.
I don't agree with him either, Angel.
I think the Kings have a hell of a team. I just think that this Oilers team's different this year. This is not the same team.
I don't disagree
they're
with that.
They're going to come in there and they're going to win
too
the
much
series.
Credit.
They're not going to be given the series. Like this could be the hardest 5 games that they play.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but if you want to keep that
Jeff,
same comparison, Skinner
Jeff's
needs.
asking what the hell is a Homer.
It's a guy that chirps Michael on our network that doesn't spell very well, so he means to call him a homer, but he keeps accidentally putting an extra M in there. So it's been this ongoing inside joke at Heavy Hockey that Michael is a homer. And he is being a homer because for that to happen, and Skinner needs to go full 2021 Hellebuck, which means he needs to let in no more than 3 or 4 goals in the first 5 games.
Does Skinner need to do that, or do Connor and Leon need to take control and win this series?
I think in order to beat the Kings in 5 games, you are going to need stellar goaltending. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to need.
You think we're going to put up a touchdown every game
to win the playoffs? You need stellar goaltending.
So it's Oilers in 5, and we've scored 25 goals by then.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that at all. I think you're missing the point here. I'm not saying the Kings are going to be an easy 5. Right? I think, you just like I just said, like the Oilers went out against the Jets, and what was it, an easy sweep?
Nope.
Was maybe the closest sweep in the history of the playoffs that I've ever watched.
Yeah, you could have put a piece of paper in between their stats, but it was 4-0.
That's how I think this series is going to be. But I think
that I get your point.
I think that the difference is McDavid and Draisaitl this year are on a different level, and Ekholm. I don't even know that we've seen the best of Ekholm yet.
Oh, that's scary if not, because he was plus 28 in 21 games.
I know. He was just, I think he's not been on a team like this. Well, that's a lie. They've had some pretty damn good teams.
No, he hasn't been on a team,
but he hasn't been on a team.
What's the best forward Ekholm's ever played with?
Duchesne. Right?
There you go. Enough said. I rest my case. Yeah, there's no way he's been on a team like this.
All right, we're closing in on the hour here. You are Woodcroft. There's no doubt in anybody's mind, at least I don't think, that Stuart Skinner is starting, if it's not already been announced. How long does he have? If things go south in game 1, do you start Campbell in game 2, or you go back to?
No, you don't even think about Campbell until you're down 3-0.
Agreed. And even then, I mean,
even then,
totally agree. Not been good enough.
Well, in the last 2 games, sure, but whether that carries you through into the playoffs, I mean, whatever. Ultimately, you know what? You go down 0-3 to the Kings, and you stick Campbell in, and you come back and win the series. Well, I guess you got your starter for the playoffs, don't you? So we'll see. That's pie in the sky. I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right. To finish this off tonight, who's the X factor for the Oilers? So we, not named, obviously not the obvious ones, not McDavid and not Draisaitl. Who's the guy that who's this year's Pisani?
Not between the pipes, because it's Skinner.
Not
is my
between
answer.
The pipes. Yeah.
Vander Kane.
All right.
7 goals in 7 games versus the Kings last year. He humbles them in the scrums. He scores goals. He scores them when they count. He gives Draisaitl a 1-2 punch behind Nugent McDavid like you wouldn't believe. Vander Kane.
Here's the big thing for me when I thought about this. I knew I was going to ask you this question.
He'll lead the series in hits and goals. That's pretty good.
If you had said you say Vander Kane, great. You know what? 100%.
If I said Hyman, great. If I said Nuge, great. If I said McLeod, great.
That's the kicker, right?
I know what you're saying, bro.
Yeah.
Let alone Janmark. Like, it's really unfair that we keep relying on Janmark for all this.
It's unfair.
It's so unfair.
I mean, Derek Ryan could play a big part in these playoffs this year. I mean, that's how.
All he does is reach double digits in goals on the 4th line without playing any special teams whatsoever every year. What else do you want from the guy?
Yeah, he's unreal. But Hyman, Nuge, Kane, the only guy that and he plays a different role.
Fogle could be a difference maker, buddy.
Yeah. The only guy I don't look at in that sort of way is maybe Yamo, but he plays a different role on this team.
That's right.
Yeah, plays a different role.
Or Jan Marquez. The guy's being sarcastic there, obviously. But
you could go down to defense.
Mm-hmm.
Bouchard, you could have said, wouldn't have argued with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Desharnais might have some of the biggest games of his life going into the playoffs.
Right. I've said it many times. We come out of this playoffs saying he's matured like a new Chara for our team.
That's why I said 5. Oilers in 5.
Says a lot that they aren't. Did you see the opening day lineup? Desharnais in.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, he's in.
That says a lot.
It does. How about the X factor for the Kings? I mean, we weren't counting Skinner, I guess, for the Oilers, but if you had, I'd say Korpisalo's the big thing in my mind. Depends on how he plays.
Sure. I mean, I wasn't allowed to pick Skinner, so that's fine.
But if you go outside of that, a guy like sometimes a guy that makes a big difference, especially the experience that he brings, like Deneau, could be a guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Deneau has that ability, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Geez, that's tough to say. Like, I think if we're just picking non-goalies, then partially I want to pick, maybe just a Doughty or a Kopitar based on they've been there before. They know what to do and they know how to do it. But yeah, it's hard not to pick Deneau. He's just so good all over the ice.
And look at, I look at this again, man, and Angel, a lot of respect for you. But you think about X factors and you talk about the Oilers, and you got to take 2 guys off of your list before you talk about the X factor, because that they're going to be, I mean, they were the leading scorers in the playoffs last year. And it's not going to change this year. They might even outperform. But with the Kings, I mean, you could maybe take Kopitar off that list, but you know what? He's, there's no gimmies on this Kings team in terms of, who's going to come out and be the best King. And it's just 2 different teams. Now, with the Kings, they play solid. McClellan might not have been the right coach for Edmonton, but he's done a good job. And defensively, they're structurally they're absolutely outstanding. They took the Oilers to 7 games last year. I just think that you can't count them out, and I'm not counting them out just because I said they're in 5. I mean, they're going to be a good team. Byfield is a hell of a player, right? I mean, if I went for, I said Deneau, but Byfield can be a real difference maker in a game, right? He's, he plays a pretty solid game. Angel said Viardi. I think he's day-to-day right now. A lot of good players on this.
I wasn't sure if he was playing.
A lot of good players on this team. All right. We're at the top of the hour. We just made an hour. It's been great seeing you. I haven't seen or talked you in 2 weeks. Feels like forever. We're going to be on this. I might start to do some lunchtime shows over the playoffs. Start talking some hockey. Get some guests. Make sure everybody checks out heavyhockey.com. Bruce McCurdy just did part 2. He's comparing the Oilers dynasty years to, what they could learn this year from those years. Lots of good things going on at Heavy Hockey. We'll have tons of content during the playoffs, so check out heavyhockey.com. Anything new with you, Dash?
Just excited for it all to get going, buddy. I got tickets to game 2, so I'm gonna call it a guaranteed win on Wednesday. I don't know when we're gonna get back on the show again. If we'll stick to Tuesday night and talk in between, or how that's gonna work. I know you got a busy week, but so do I.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best to avoid during playoff time, like during playoff hockey. So if we can take some time during the day, I'm going to do that. If it's a half hour each day, maybe in between games, and then take a little bit of a break when the Oilers, if they have any breaks. If they go 7, they probably only have a game. If they go 5, they'll have have a lot. Angel says I talk a lot, so I can host something maybe. Send me a DM on Twitter, Angel, at Oilerslive. We'll chat. We'll give you the reins to an LA
New
Kings
heavy hockey
episode
Kings
if you're any
analyst,
good.
Angel.
Definitely. Give you the reins to an LA Kings episode. All right, folks, everybody out there in Twitter land and YouTube, everything like that, we're going to end it as we always do. Oh, it scares me because this is such an important episode. But I want to say thank you to everybody who keeps coming out. We had a good crowd today. Lots of chat on there. Lots of different things happening. Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You name it, we're streaming there. Check out, as I said before, make sure you get on Facebook at youtube.com or youtube.ca, doesn't matter, /heavy hockey. Give us a subscription. Let's take this into the playoffs. Let's have some fun. Dash and I will be back as often as possible to talk some hockey. I'm going to get some gifts out pretty quick for Oilers land. I think I'm trying to figure out what the Oilers hashtag is going to be for the playoffs, and I gave a couple of options on Twitter, and right now 16 La Bombas is in the lead, which I like.
It's a good one.
I like that one. Wasn't mine. I asked some people. I asked Twitterland what they thought would be a good one. I do like that one. Little tribute to Mr. Joey Moss himself. Too bad that he can't. Yeah, thanks for that one, Angel. It's good. It is good, though. That's a solid chirp. That's a solid chirp. I'll give you that one. Angel says, for those of you not on there, although I think you can see it if you're watching live, says hashtag I hope we win. All right.
Obviously,
that's enough for me.
I'm
going to give the reins over to Dash for the last word. As everybody knows, my guests always get the last word. I put the mic on mute and hope to hell that I don't regret it. This is no different than any other time. Dash, you're up. Thanks for joining the show tonight. We'll talk soon.
I'm not going to let you down. Eve of the playoffs. What do we need here, buddy? It's, we need a pep talk. I think that's what's coming, honestly, is all it is. This is our time, buddy. It's what we've always wanted. This season has been epic. Look back to the ups and downs last year. It was up and down and the roller coaster. We'd never had a bigger roller coaster season than last year. All of a sudden we walk into this season where for crying out loud, the Oilers hired a full-time guy just to put white tape around the pucks because there's so many records being broken night after night after night. Which angle do you want to look at it from? Like from the net? Okay, well, Stu's breaking wins in a month records by Fuhrer. He's winning, more wins in a season than Grand Fuhrer. We've acquired the most dominant trade deadline acquisition in the entire league. He's absolutely, what did I say? Plus 28 in 21 games. Who does that? Plus 28 is an entire season of pluses, let alone the final stretch. He's made Bouchard into a beast, more so than Keith ever could. We've got the Bouch bomb. We've got what all he did is make the best power play in the history of hockey even better. That bodes well for us. We pick up Bukestad and Ekholm and these guys at the deadline, and all of a sudden our penalty kill is top 3 in the league instead of bottom 10 in the league. We've got more penalty kill goals than the rest of the league. We've got a healthy Doc. We've got a sheltered Doc. We've got McDavid's goals and McDavid's assists and Draisaitl's goals and Nuge's points and a power play that rotates better than anything we've ever had before. We've got the most advanced, dynamic, whatever the hell you want to call him. He's the most advanced player in the history of hockey. And his ride or die is the best passer in the game. And his ride or die is the only active player in the league that has 350 goal seasons that isn't named Ovechkin. His ride or die dominated the Flames last year on one effing leg and beat Gretzky's records doing it. We've got peak Nuge this year. We've got last year's playoff goal leader in Kane, 7 versus the Kings. We've got a third line with speed. We might have the best fourth line in hockey. We've had the best team in the NHL since Woody took over. We're the best team in the NHL this calendar year. We've had a 15, 16 game streak coming in. We're the hottest team in the NHL. What else do we want? What does this mean? It means Stu won't be beat. It means Kane will bring us off our feet. It means Hyman won't stop. It means this is our time, you guys. We've got the Viking. We've got it all. Like, Rogers Place is going to rock. The tailgating is going to rock. There's going to be 40,000 people downtown carrying the passion through this city. Like, you want to see the parade, you better get in line because it's our goddamn time. Let's get to work. Good night.
Oilerslive.